Hello everyone and welcome to my first video from 2022. There will be no video game involved in this time, just real life and what I've been up to for the last decade or so. So basically you will see the process of building my house, how did I ended up doing YouTube, my life outside YouTube, places I've been, places I've worked, and all in between. Sadly, when working, you don't really have time to record yourself doing all the things, so this will be more like a slideshow kind of thing with some short videos in between. At the end of the video, you will hopefully understand why there were so many interruptions in my uploading schedule and why I haven't recorded any recent videos. So here goes the story of my almost last decade. It all started in 2013, just after the wedding, when we were getting ready to leave London after we'd been working for years in there and returned to Romania in the following years. So my wife had the idea to buy a house with the money we saved. So we looked on the internet and found this house. Not a big deal, but it was okay for a holiday house. It was quite cheap as well. We paid 40,000 RON, more or less 10,000 euros at that time, for 700 meters square and a small house, not far from our parents, at 10 meters from the lake. It was just the ideal place for us. An old lady used to live in it, but she moved with her son, and the house was abandoned for the last 2 years until the lady passed away and the son finally decided to sell it. So our plan was to restore it and keep it as a holiday house. But the plans do change when you start digging at the foundation and realize it's not built to last and it's not really worth saving it. So the big question was, what do we do now? My wife was pregnant. I was going to be a father for the first time in September. We were in March at this point. So luckily, after I discussed with her, I went to the wise man that taught me everything I know and asked him, what should I do? He said to me, son, if you want something to fit your taste, you're gonna have to build it. I will help you as much as I can. We'll ask your father-in-law as well, and we will start as soon as you have an idea on how the house is gonna look like. So hearing this, I've done as usual, pen and paper, and started drawing until I ended up with the house that we'll live in today. Meanwhile, our honeymoon was cancelled due to unexpected reasons. So instead, we just went fishing in the back garden as we were going to need every last penny for the journey ahead. So I had a team of 2 people and myself to demolish the old house and build a new one in roughly 7 months. None of us was a builder by trade, never built a house before, but we used our combined knowledge and common sense to pull this through. So after all the paperworks from the architect were completed, it was finally time to get the work started. It took us a couple of days to clean and mark the area that the house was going to be and finally started digging. Because the lake is so close, the water level under the ground is very high, and only after 40 centimeters in the ground the water appeared. The depth of the foundation was meant to be 1.2 meters deep, according to the drawing from the architect. But how do you dig underwater? We made a big hole at the draining point of the water, so all of it will drain in there and from there into the lake using 2 big sump pumps. So the problem was solved. Concrete and reinforced steel were in place. All we had to do is wait for a week to dry before we poured the concrete above the ground. Meanwhile, we set up the place for the next batch of concrete to go in and repeat the process just like we did with the underground level. After a couple of weeks of hard work, It was finally time for a well-deserved break. All three of us went fishing, had a couple of cold beers and a delicious barbecue at the lake. A week later, the work resumed by removing the wooden panels and start tearing down the old house so we can finally pour the last part of the concrete, and that was the floor. Over the years, I had to bring in several layers of soil to get rid of the ground moisture. This was the first time to bring in new soil, and you can see a toll that destroyed my yard. It was not a pretty sight, but first you have to destroy it, then build it prettier. A stork decides to pay us a visit. She knew we were expecting a baby, so just wanted to make sure they have a safe place to land with the baby. Not sure what happened with the pictures from June to beginning in August because I couldn't find them. If I remember correctly, I think I broke my phone and could not save the pictures. So you'll see all the bricks are already laid, and we started working on the roof. Basically took me around 2 months to pour the concrete for the remaining floor, build the first floor and the second one with all the concrete. At this point, it was mid-August, and we realized that the house is nowhere near the finishing point. We only had money left for finishing the roof and maybe a room where you can sleep and eat, so we had to take a quick decision. Do I get a job in Romania and never finish the house, or go to Scotland for a year to earn enough money and finish the house? The choice was obvious. The only problem was that my wife was due in September, and to finish the roof would take me up to the 10th of September or so. So the next couple of weeks were very stressful, as the wife could give birth at any time, the house couldn't be left with no roof on, couldn't book the flights as I had no idea when the house is going to be finished. My oldest brother, which was in Scotland, found me a job and was meant to start the induction on 14th of September. Also found us a rent nearby him, so most of the things in Scotland were sorted. The deadlines for several things were approaching very fast. I was just a 26-year-old boy at that time and surely was not prepared for all this. Things in Romania moved quite fast for the last month, and the roof was finally approaching the finishing point, thanks to my brother, as he decided to take a couple of weeks off work and come and help me with the roof. 7th of September was our first year wedding anniversary and the last day to work on the finishing touches on the roof, put all the tools away and basically tidying things as the house was going to be abandoned for at least a year. As we got to my parents' house late that evening, they had a surprise for our anniversary, a bottle of wine and a bunch of roses to celebrate our anniversary and the completion of our first chapter. 10th of September, we put all our things in the car and we were heading for Scotland. 3,000 kilometers drive with my wife being pregnant 9 months. I can only remember the stress me and the wife had for the entire journey. We arrived in Scotland 2 days later. Luckily for us, still only 2 people. I was going to start my new job in the dockyard 2 days later, so we had a day and a half to settle in. My wife gave birth to my son 7 days later, and that would have been the happiest day of my life. From here on, life seemed to just flow and follow its natural course for the next years. We managed to make some time for ourselves and enjoy life for a change without thinking about the house. We came back to Romania for a holiday in the following summer. Then at Christmas time we drove to Spain for a second holiday. 2017 was the year that we came back to Romania for a holiday, put the windows and doors in, brought another layer of soil in the yard and left it as it was until late autumn 2019. Meanwhile, I got a job promotion down at the dockyard, and in 2018 we spent a lot of time traveling. We drove 3,000 kilometers back to Romania. Once arrived, I had 4 hours sleep after 42 hours driving. packed our bags again, and went to a mountain cabin to meet with her family. After that, we drove back home in the same evening, as we were going to drive for a 6-day holiday in Greece with my family. After we got back to Scotland, I booked a holiday on Isle of MULL to make up for the missed honeymoon. We travelled around the island and discovered just how beautiful it was. Later that year, found out I was going to be a father again, so this time it was going to be a girl. What can make you happier than this? February 2019, I got a phone call that my granddad passed away, and from there on, things for my mental health was going to get only worse. Once I got back to Scotland, went to the doctors and didn't know what was wrong with me. I was just feeling very tired all the time, had severe spine pain, dizziness, and overall was not feeling in the mood to do anything. A couple of months passed and one doctor told me that all of my issues are coming from my anxiety. I said to him, there is no way anxiety can make you feel like that. So he gave me some medicine to see how I feel after a few weeks. To be honest, the medicine made me feel better to start with, and then it gradually made me feel worse again, as I could sleep in 24 hours a day. So I was basically a vegetable until I decided that the medicine won't help me and I have to do something about that. So I just stopped taking them. Meanwhile, the job in the dockyard was coming to an end. It was the best job I ever had and probably the best I will ever have. That didn't help with my mental health either. My second child was due soon, I didn't have a job, so life got a bit difficult. So I started building things out of foam as a hobby and finally ended up building my house as a model. It wasn't captivating enough to make me forget about my anxiety though. So I have started recording some transport fever videos to see if it actually works. It was good enough to start with, but became a sort of addiction to check every second if there were any new subscribers or likes to the videos. So I was thinking that I will become a famous YouTuber overnight, which only led to more disappointment. In the end, my wife came with the idea to try and go back to Romania for a while, work on a house and see how I feel. So this is what we did. My landlord was very kind and decided he will not charge me for the missing months. So all of our things were in Scotland. We took only what we needed and we were away without looking back. It was meant to be 6 months in Romania to finish the house together with my dad. We got home, he wasn't feeling too well, so I was on my own. The doctors told us he has to go in for a kidney removal as he had a large tumor. I started working on the house with the left foot, and the next 6 months were just excruciating, but also very satisfying as I was going in the right direction. My anxiety problems disappeared altogether because I was very busy all the time. So the work resumed once again, this time only on the inside, making sure it can be used as a house. So the yard was a mess, inside of the house was a mess, but I was very happy that I can work towards finishing the house. I had removed all the old boards so the new floor can come in. So just remember, from this point on, September 2019, I was on my own. So no one to shout, just in case anything goes wrong. Board after board, the upper floor was slowly transforming. I've made the steps for the stairway from used boards lying around the house. So I just cleaned them and I think it looks really, really nice. From September onwards, you've seen in the pictures the insulation going up, all the upper floor heating pipes being installed, the electric cables in the ceiling and walls, the ceiling for the upper and lower floor, and the walls being installed. Also, when you do something like this, always make sure you wear the right PPE. You've seen me in the pictures. It was really important. So this is what I've done in 6 months' time, all by myself. It was not a big deal, but we were one step closer in completing the house. Once back in Scotland, I started working with my brother, helping him out with the welding company, also doing deliveries at the Chinese restaurant. Because of the pandemic, there wasn't a lot going on, so I decided to, give YouTube another go. So I started doing some Transport Fever 2 videos. Again, it was not easy, as I was expecting for my channel to grow overnight. Sometimes it's frustrating and hopeless, but you have to remember that you are doing this to enjoy yourself. Never give up and keep following your dreams, no matter the circumstances. The decision to move back to Romania came 2 days after my dad passed away in 2021, and knew right away it was the right thing to do. There was no hesitation at all, and what we have built for the last 7-8 years in Scotland was not easy to forget. But you have to do what your heart tells you, and at that time it was the only thing I wanted. In April 2021, we packed all our bags and moved back to Romania, taking all the good memories spent there with us. This time, before I started working, I took a pen and paper and draw just how the yard is going to look like when it's going to be finished. And then we went in some holiday just to visit some places in Romania. So what you're gonna see in the next pictures is the work that I've done from April 2021 up to beginning of September 2021 as the kids start at school and nursery. And now for the last bit of the slideshow, you will see from when we moved over, which was September, until present, which is July. The kitchen and my daughter's bedroom still need to be done inside, so we have the bare minimum in the kitchen, enough to make our everyday life easier. Her bedroom will have to wait until she's a bit older, so I can make it as she wants to. Next spring there will be a lot of trees and shrubs planted, the house hopefully insulated on the outside and painted, and the fences will need to be done. But for now we are happy at our new home, as it's fresh air all the time, peace and quiet, and it's just perfect for the kids. So this is how I spent my almost last 10 years. Life has ups and downs. The most important thing is to carry on the path going ahead. Hopefully you've enjoyed this video, and I can only hope there will be another Transport Fever 2 video soon. Thank you for watching, and see you again soon.